I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester's The Sound of Tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about polio. We're going to be talking about Salman Rushdie. We're going to be maybe having a little bit of crudité. We're not sure. We're not even sure we can afford it. How could we? But first,
Hey, Heather, how's your week been so far?
I speak English. You speak Spanish.
Okay. We can try, I guess, but I thought you were the one doing the Duolingo Spanish lessons. Maybe instead, how about maybe I'll speak English and then you speak Spanish? That'd be fun.
My overcoats are gray. Your ties are gray.
Okay, am I supposed to translate that or something? Because I haven't the slightest idea how to say that in Spanish.
Your dog is with one of my cats.
What? No, both dogs are present and accounted for. And you only have one cat, so.
The cat is white.
Yes, we all know your cat Nigel, about whom you rarely stop talking, is white. I don't understand this shtick at all.
The elephants don't run. They walk.
Okay, are you all right? Because I want to play along, but okay, yes, and the elephants are gray. Like your overcoats and my ties. Is this what we're doing right now?
You right. I drink.
Yes, we all know that you drank. Yes.
The women drink wine. The men eat bread.
Yeah, no. Okay, if this is some improv game you're trying out, I'm going to need a little more about the rules because this is not fun for anyone yet at all.
I have your t-shirt.
Well, that is good news actually right there because I've been asking about it for months. I'm thrilled you're finally going to return it, and I hope this means you got the mustard out.
I speak Spanish. You speak Catalan.
Okay, we've covered this. I know less Catalan than I do Spanish, Heather. And come on, what are you doing? And why do your eyes look so, let's say, strained? Strained?
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're not going to stop being weird? Okay, then maybe we're going to have to reschedule because my patience is, frankly, wearing thin. I usually like my hairline. I usually like how quirky you are because it's fun, or at least I'm willing to put up with it. But you're taking this a little bit too far.
I swim. You swim. The boy swims.
Oh no. All right.
My cat eats apples.
Okay, I saw something about this on Twitter. Hang on, I can help you.
A blue skirt. A red jacket. Orange socks.
Okay, I got it, Heather. Just do me a favor. Blink 3 times if this is what happened. You've lost your Duolingo streak, and now the Duolingo owl is at your house. Oh no!
The woman writes your card.
Okay, stay calm. Now here's what you need to do. Are you ready?
The man drinks a beer.
Of course he does. Now you've got your phone there with you.
Good day. A pleasure to meet you.
Okay, open Duolingo. Now slowly now, so as not to make the owl angrier than it is already.
I'm sorry.
Don't even apologize to it. The Duolingo owl has no business terrorizing people like that. Start a lesson. Any lesson.
Els nens.
Is the owl backing away a little bit?
Las niñas.
Okay, think you're in the clear now. I'm just gonna finish that lesson there, and I'll play the theme. Okay.
¿Cómo se dicen nosotros?
Okay, I'll be over after we record to help you put the door back on the hinges. It's fine. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it after all, girl. La niña.
That was so stupid. Why? That was a bad skit.
Hey everybody, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. Welcome back to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
It's a show on the radio.
It's true.
Yep.
That is a very true thing that you just said.
I feel like there's a lot of falsification and fiction and fake news in our media atmosphere. So from now on, I'm only going to say true things.
I like it. I think that's a good idea.
Sound of Tomorrow, 1 hour long.
On WAYO 104.3 FM.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all that's going on with me.
Good. I'm overheated today.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something happened. I think I'm having a hot flash, maybe.
Are you having a hot flash?
I might be. I'm
Is
very
this your
warm right now.
is this your perimenopause?
Yeah, I think so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think I'm way overheated. It's not
I
good.
remember you were I think back to the days when you were so excited about perimenopause.
No, I'm
And here
excited
you
about
are.
menopause.
Oh, so,
Perimenopause is bad.
okay. Oh,
That's
so
when you get
menopause is when it's
Yeah,
done.
menopause is when you're done. Perimenopause is when you're going through all this stuff so that you're going to be done, and it's generally not fun at all.
Oh, so I guess I thought like okay, see this is an education for me because I thought it was
Yes.
like perimenopause was like leading up to menopause and then menopause was like where you get all the hot flashes and stuff and then after menopause was just when you're sipping tea on the veranda
No,
with
menopause
your
is
other old lady friends and playing
right.
canasta.
Well, you're right about like being postmenopausal because there's just one day that like it's menopause, and that's when you don't get a period anymore.
Okay. So
And
it's
I
like a
guess
20-minute stretch and then
yeah,
okay.
yep. But yeah, perimenopause is like the not fun one where your weight starts fluctuating all over the place and you're hot, you're sweaty.
So how long does that last
Oh, who knows?
traditionally?
I don't know. I think it varies from person to person.
Hmm.
I think some people have a really quick one, some people go on for years.
Hmm. What's
This
the
past year
maximum
has
you
been
think? Is
pretty
it like
bad.
20 years?
Probably. Yeah. And that's probably how long I'll have it.
Right. But
Yep.
but you could still have a baby. Is that true?
I mean,
I don't know how that works. I don't know how any of this works. This
I
is
think
very this is very personal. I'm not really asking if you personally
I
could
know.
have a
I'm
baby
like
at this
me.
moment.
No, I couldn't, and I wouldn't, and I shouldn't.
Like
Yeah, I mean, a person could.
is the so the baby stuff is done when perimenopause is done.
Yeah, when menopause hits, because then there's no more eggs
All right.
being released, right? So there's no
All
more
right.
eggs to be fertilized.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds reasonable to me.
right. Yeah.
I say keep it up. Good job.
Thanks.
Keep it going. Keep it rolling.
I would like it if it would just continue quickly and we could get
Yeah,
to where I'm not just sitting in my house sweating.
right. I know you're always cold though.
Right, that's the darn thing. Now I'm too
So isn't it
hot. What's
nice?
going on?
Oh. Oh no. What if it
Right?
stays like that and you become
I
one of those people
know.
who's always too hot?
That would be so weird.
Yeah.
Having been for the past many decades the person who's always freezing cold, and then all of a sudden I'm the one who's asking for more ice
I don't think I could hang out with you anymore.
if I were too warm.
I think it's
But
the primary thing we have in common.
that we're cold.
Yeah. Everything else sort of falls apart. I think if that's gone.
I know. What though? Because sometimes I kind of radiate heat these days. What if I kept you warm?
All right.
Then you'd like being near me, even more than
Sure.
usual.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's gonna work out great. Middle of winter, I'm just gonna be burning like a hot sun.
And you can just stand in my living room.
Right. And just warm everybody right up.
Yeah.
My face all red, fanning.
Oh, Heather.
I know.
Are you as worried as I am about polio?
I'll tell you something, Rose. For myself, I'm not worried about polio.
All right.
I am worried that polio
This is
is.
a this is a yes and situation here, Heather. You're not helping me.
What worries me is that polio is back in style here in the United States.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. This is it's definitely concerning. It's definitely
Yes.
concerning and I thought it was worth because I had questions about
Right.
myself that I have not 100% resolved, but I
Okay.
think I kind of know the answer now. Um because I
Did
have
you
yeah,
do
go
you
ahead.
have this Slate article called Wait, Have I Been Vaccinated Against Polio?
I have that open.
Mm.
Have I read it? No.
I
No.
skimmed it.
Yeah, my concern was not whether I had read a particular Slate article, but thank you for thank you for making me worry about that now. Was what so this is how stupid I am. So I was getting polio mixed up with smallpox.
Oh,
Not so much the diseases, but the
right.
vaccinations.
Yes.
And I was thinking like, so we're seeing stuff now about polio showing up in New York City wastewater, meaning
Right.
there are people somewhere who are, excreting polio because they've been exposed to polio,
Yeah.
which is not great.
No.
Um, and I was like, oh, I think I'm too young to have been vaccinated for polio.
Mm-mm.
But that's the other one. I was stupid about that. So yeah, I was thinking of smallpox, which I think they sort of ended doing like in the early 70s maybe.
Did they?
And that's the sort of four-prong one where people have the scar. And I don't have a smallpox. So hopefully, I was actually
Right.
talking with my friend who works in like epidemiology for the state of New York, just by random coincidence. And I was having this conversation about how stupid I
Yeah.
was for mixing up smallpox and polio, and she did at least give me her semi-definitive at the moment. I was like, okay, but I'm good for smallpox, and she's like, yeah, I don't. There's no reason to worry about smallpox right
Yeah.
this moment. So I'm not vaccinated for smallpox. Hopefully that continues to be okay that I'm not vaccinated against smallpox. But um,
Yeah. I don't have the four-pronged scar thing.
right.
So maybe I'm not vaccinated for smallpox either. I'm definitely vaccinated for polio. And my guess is you are as well,
Yeah.
because work sent us both overseas. And you and I both went to Passport Health. And I'm figuring if you got all the vaccinations I got at Passport Health, you definitely got one against polio.
Well, and so my understanding is that pretty much most people are vaccinated against polio because it's part
Yep.
of sort of the in most places it's sort of it's sort of one of those mandatory vaccinations you get when you go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're right. They do what I'm seeing from the latest seeing this stuff in New York City is that um there is a suggestion from the New York Board of Health that you may, if you're in a high risk area, you feel like you're in a high risk scenario,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to consider a booster. But
Yep.
for the most part, most people are probably covered. I think the danger is probably we have seen increased rates of vaccine refusal.
Well, that's the
Um,
thing.
and the polio that we've seen happens to be quite mysteriously, I can't imagine this must be a coincidence, is from an area around New York City with lower than normal, um, lower than average, rather significantly lower than average vaccination rates.
Yeah.
So presumably this is an area where people are choosing not to get vaccinated and choosing not to
Right.
have their kids get vaccinated. So I'm sure that's just a coincidence
Oh, of course it
that
is.
there's a person now paralyzed because of polio. I'm sure that has one thing has nothing to do with the other. But I guess the idea is most people are probably fine. So it's probably not something most people need to be panicked about unless your parents and or yourself have been vaccine refusers in the past
Right.
or
Yeah.
present.
Yep. Because it's very concerning. And I'm glad I got the booster because one of the things I remember the nurse at the Passport Health place saying is like, you're vaccinated when you're a kid. With this booster, you now have lifetime immunity against polio.
Hmm.
And I said, well, that's great. That's exactly what I like to hear about lifetime immunity against polio.
Yeah.
But I it is interesting to me, like how dangerous it can be, because I do see that in New York City, the patient who's paralyzed now because of polio is only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, and you think of, I mean, this is in our parents' lifetimes
right.
that this was a scourge. And it was all ages. I mean, it actually impacted, I think it disproportionately affected young people.
I think it
Um,
did.
so, you had children who died and or were paralyzed
Right.
for life, and or, paralyzed, not just a set of people, not just people being paralyzed in the way you think of, oh, you might be a wheelchair user or whatever, but paralyzed as in their lungs no longer function independently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some really, really, really severe consequences to the disease, and I feel like it's one of these things that we keep running into where it's that vaccine has been, vaccines are I guess the way we process our information, the way we process our media, I think vaccines are one of those things that sort of a victim of that, in terms of these vaccines have been so successful
Right.
and we have such short attention spans
Mm-hmm.
that people don't seem to be aware that the reason we don't have polio
Right.
it's not like, oh, there's no such thing as polio, so why are you giving me this shot? It's these shots have been incredibly effective
Yeah.
at curtailing an incredibly, a nightmarish
Yeah, like a
disease
devastating disease.
that sort of all but wiped out, but not quite,
Right.
and always has the chance to make a resurgence.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I've also heard, of course, everybody knows there's been all the debates about the COVID vaccines and who's going to get them. And there's almost a pitting of like anti-vaxxers versus pro-vaccination people.
Mhm.
I think anybody listening to this show knows exactly where we come down on that.
Oh
Um,
my god, give me all
but
the shots.
people bring up when the polio vaccine was developed and rolled out, there were lines like down the street, around the corner, people just so anxious to get protection from this disease that could kill them or leave them paralyzed for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And parents were bringing in their children, and everybody was so grateful. And that kind of stuff reminds me of when I went to get the COVID vaccine, because it was pretty joyful, really.
Yeah.
All the people lined up. But somehow, this was back in the day when, I don't know, more Americans believed in medicine and science and trying to, protect other citizens, I guess.
I don't know if they did or not. I don't know. I don't. On the one hand, I hate to do the thing where it's like, well, people were better in old timey times,
I
and
don't
people were
know.
smarter, and blah blah blah. And I don't know, but in this case, it sort of seems like maybe they were.
Well, that's why I said everything with a question mark, because it seems improbable, right? Like,
Yeah.
how could people have been so great?
Right. Or maybe people were, more inclined to accept expert advice. Now we do the thing, and I don't know. Again, I don't know how new this is, but now we do the thing where it's like, again, I think with our social media and the way we process information,
Mm-hmm.
there's the thing of like, everybody's got some secret knowledge and you sort
Yeah.
of profit by your secret knowledge. So the secret knowledge is not the thing that 99% of all scientists agree on. That's very easy. Everybody knows that stuff, or they think, or they pretend to, or whatever. But, the secret knowledge is the thing that no other scientist agrees on that I know about. So, 99% of scientists say the vaccines are great. But the secret knowledge is that I will let you in on the secret
Yeah.
knowledge that you can have that nobody else knows. And that's that vaccines are stupid.
Yeah. That's
And we go, ooh, and that is a cognitive thing. I mean, that does prey on a part of our brains where like, we want to be in on the secret.
yeah.
We don't want the thing that everybody else knows. We want to be in on the secret. We want to be in the
No.
club.
And,
And
come on,
then,
sheeple, what are you doing lining up to get these shots?
right, right. And I think there's a bias too about like not doing anything. Like if you can trick your brain into telling yourself you don't have to do anything, I guess there's a bias toward that. Like you don't even have to bother to show up to get the shot. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a laziness bias too that, I certainly have, but I still want that shot, man.
I know. It just
I love them.
seems. I do
I'm
too.
I'm mad that I don't have more. I'm a little mad that like I want a monkeypox vaccine that I absolutely do not need statistically
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. And I'm a little mad that I'm not, I don't know, single and sexually adventurous because
Because you want that vaccine so bad?
I want the vaccine. I want to pull up and be like, look,
I know.
I have had 18 sexual partners. I'm not making, look, I'm not, this is not me sex shaming anyone who is in a risk group for monkeypox, but I want to be like, I want to roll up with my 18 sex partners
Yes.
and be like, look, they are in the back of my car. There is my proof.
Right.
Give me the shot.
Yeah, and then you can all get vaccinated against monkeypox. I
Right.
do kind of want that one too, but I think I'm in like a similar boat of I'm not going around to the circuit parties and whatnot.
Yeah, like I don't live in an area of high risk, and I don't.
Yeah,
I
but I kind of do want to collect all of the vaccinations I can possibly get.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm
Give
really like I'm a
give
huge
me all of them.
fan. I
Yeah.
was looking around here in my notes, but I'm not finding it right away. I did have something a couple weeks ago about the recommendations for summer boosters
Oh,
because
okay.
there was some guidance. I think this was from NPR, and this article's a little bit old now. It's from July 28th, but it's about the summer boosters for people under 50. And the guidance now is that people under 50 should wait till fall to get their second COVID booster.
Okay. I was wondering about that because so I will confess, and this is not like me, but um we neither one of us have gotten around to getting the second COVID booster, which, you know, I feel like it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I've had
It's
three
not.
shots, so it's not,
Yeah.
it's not, I don't feel terrible about it,
Yep.
but it's sort of a thing we've continued to put off. And thank you for letting me know that, because what I've been meaning to do is figure out, like, should I do it now or should I, because I know there are developments in the, I know there are developments in COVID vaccines. So we were like, should we do it since we've put it off? Should we do it now or should we wait
Yeah.
until there's a better booster?
Yep.
Rather than getting it now and then having to wait for the better booster. I don't know. So I'm not sure what the,
Right. And my understanding is like with the second booster, we are a little bit young still for it to be
yeah.
like highly recommended. But I think I did a similar thing to you as I found out that, there's another booster. You can go and get it. And in my mind, I was like, that is a great freaking idea. I'm going to get this second booster. And then I remember a couple months ago, I was hanging out with a friend and I was like, I'll confess, I haven't gotten my second booster yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till fall so I can get it with my flu shot.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a great idea. I really like that. And then after that, I saw this thing about they're going to be retooling the second boosters, and by fall
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be the newer upgraded version available.
Yeah.
So that really kind of helped me lock in my okay, good. Because the second my friend said that they were going to get it in the fall with their flu shot, I was thinking, brilliant. Then my arm will only hurt once.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. So that's okay. That helps me with my slight guilt over, not guilt, not even guilt, just more like, oh, it's a thing I should be doing. Oh, I got to do that. I got to, not like I said, I've had 3 shots, so I don't feel
Yep.
super guilty that I haven't done it yet. I just, it's sort of a nagging thing in the back of my mind, like, oh, got to do that,
Yep.
and I haven't gotten around to doing it. So, but maybe that's fine. It turns out.
I think so. It says that there's an FDA request for new bivalent boosters to be
Yeah.
ready for the fall. And I'll confess to you, I don't really know what that means.
Yeah. Me
And
neither.
in all honesty, I don't care. Like,
Right.
I'll try to keep checking the news to see what the recommendation is on getting your second booster.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those sheeple. If the CDC is saying, like, okay, now's your time, I'll go do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as polio, I think it's one of those things where it's not a super big worry yet. But if you have not been vaccinated for polio, it might be the time to think. Even
Yeah.
again, this is sort of limited to New York City at the moment, but who know? The way things spread, you just don't know. So I would say I would certainly consider
Right.
if you have never been vaccinated for polio, and I have to double check my old records, but I am 95% sure I have, and I'm 95% sure I've received a booster, like you mentioned, when I've traveled. So
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not
just
too worried about that. But if you
given
think you
that
haven't,
and given that you and I traveled to the same country,
Mm-hmm.
for the same company, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we probably had a lot of the same shots and boosters and vaccines given.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if you never have, or if you're not sure, if your parents, again, I don't know what I don't know what the scenarios are, depending on your time and place, when, what the options were for your parents, maybe opting out of that. But if you're not sure, probably worth looking into just to be on the safe side. And if you know you haven't been vaccinated, probably not a bad thing to do. Cause I tell you, I mean, I haven't lived through polio, but I do watch a lot of medical documentaries, and I'll tell you, based on my knowledge from that, which is pretty
Right.
much like going to medical school,
Of course.
polio sucks.
It really does.
Polio sucks real hard.
Yeah.
So,
I really don't like that it's in the US. It was eradicated in the US.
yeah, agreed.
And now, as I said, polio's back in style.
Yeah,
I don't want it.
I
I
don't
don't
like it.
want it at all. At least that's as far as I understand, like New York public schools require that you have lots and lots and lots of shots.
Yeah, and it's great.
I love it
I
so
mean,
much.
I didn't go to school in New York, but I think I still got the same shots pretty much.
Probably. I mean, back in the day, they used to just give them out like candy.
Yep. And I would take them like candy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
think
funny.
I think there's even an Oreo. I think they put polio in an Oreo, and you can
Really?
just eat it. No, I think there's even an oral. Why can't I say oral?
I
This is
don't
why they
know.
won't give me the monkeypox shot. Monkeypox shot. I can't even say the word oral. Yeah, I think there's even an oral polio vaccine.
Is
So again, I think
there?
I don't know, I don't know what they charge for that or whatever. But again, if you're someone who hasn't had one, worth looking into.
Yeah, no, I know for a fact mine was a shot.
Yeah.
Got a lot of shots back in 2015.
Probably doesn't taste very good. So maybe you made the right choice.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Heather,
Ross.
we should talk about something sort of stinky that happened in
Yeah.
the right in our backyard, which was very, you know, it, so at the just this past week at the Chautauqua Institute outside of which is near Buffalo.
Right.
I know Chautauqua sort of vaguely where that is a little bit, maybe
Kind
kind
of,
of, but
sort
I mean,
of. It's not far.
yeah, I couldn't find it without my GPS. Salman Rushdie, who, of course, in 1989 wrote, published the Satanic Verses in 1988, which got him on um, the crap list of the Ayatollah of Iran at the time, and he was put under I don't know if it was initially a $3 million fatwa or that's what it is now, but basically basically a bounty put on his head, and he was in hiding
Mm-hmm.
for 9 years and has been, I think, moving fairly freely since then. But
Yeah, that was what I thought.
yeah, so I don't know what the normal, he was attacked. He was preparing to give a talk at the Chautauqua Institute on behalf of the I think the Pen America group, which is a freedom of not freedom of speech, freedom of publication, free, what's I'm not pulling up my notes and I'm forgetting the word I'm trying to say, but it's a you know authorial freedom of speech organization,
Okay. All
basically.
right.
So there's a phrase for that I
Yeah, I
obviously,
don't know if I know this phrase. Like
well, then
freedom of publishing?
we're out of luck.
We
we're
are.
we're out of luck here. But so he was attacked. A man rushed on stage, stabbed him several times, and I was
Yes.
sort of I'm sort of a Salman Rushdie fan. So, I was very concerned about that. He seems to be doing better as of the time that we're recording this. He seems to not, this was not this was not a minor thing. He was stabbed multiple times. He
It
was,
was a very bad attack and he was very seriously injured from what I heard.
and is still very seriously injured. I mean, I don't know to what extent he's, they always use the phrase out of the woods. I don't know to what extent that's even the case, but he's
Right.
apparently awake and breathing on his own,
Okay.
and
Oh,
that
good,
sort of
because
thing.
last I
So
heard he was on a ventilator.
right. So I believe he's currently awake and breathing on his own and
Good.
talking.
Wow.
Again, there was a lot of damage. I think they, at one point, there was the danger that he might lose an eye. So so this was, I think, being in sort of our backyard. Me being sort of a fan of, so because with Salman Rushdie, what always comes up is um obviously the death threats and the
Mm-hmm.
the whole scenario with that. He's a really good writer.
Yes.
And I would encourage people to, I mean, maybe even especially now, I mean, maybe you could, help pay his hospital bills or whatever. I don't
Right.
know. I'm sure he's got insurance for that or something. I don't know. I don't know. But um he's a really excellent, entertaining, engage, he's a very literary writer, but he's also a very entertaining writer. I mean, one of the books that I think, if I were to recommend one of his books right now, Midnight's Children, it's set during the partition of India around 1947, but it's sort of about so, and it won all these literary awards and things, but it's also about people with superpowers. So
Ooh.
there's a very, I don't know how much of the people who know about Salman Rushdie have actually read Salman Rushdie, and he's kind of fun and kind of good.
Yeah, so it's interesting because recently I've been talking about Salman Rushdie a lot, and well before this attack. And I don't even really know how it came up except for all the controversy in the 80s and the death threats and how he was in hiding.
Hmm.
And I realize I cannot remember whether I've read his work or if I just know his reputation.
Yeah.
Because when I think of his name, excellent writing comes to mind,
Hmm.
as well as like how scary it was that he was being threatened and hunted and everything. And it was, I guess I hadn't really thought about Salman Rushdie in a long time. And so it's kind of strange, like a couple weeks ago, suddenly we're all talking about Salman Rushdie. And then for this horrible attack, like from what I remember reading, like, is this related to any of the stuff from the 80s?
Well, I mean, so that is not something anyone's saying definitively.
Uh
Um,
huh.
from what is known, I think that seems to be the case. I
I
think
mean,
this
that was
seems
my
to be
thought.
again, this is pure, it's not pure speculation, but based on what we know about the attacker,
Right.
there seems to be a connection there. There seems to be a strong connection there.
Okay,
That seems to be the motivation.
that was my wonder, because also from what I recall, and I read an article on this maybe yesterday or something. Um, no one in any kind of government is saying like, "Yep, that's us."
Right. Right. And I don't
So,
know, and when I say that seems to be the motivation, I don't know that I'd go so far as to even speculate that this was someone working on behalf of anyone, but it
right.
it definitely seems to be the case. I don't think it'll be surprising if, when this is all, when this all filters out, that this person was motivated by
Yes.
that, um that fatwa, and that
Yeah.
the I don't even like to use the word controversy, because controversy implies there are two sides to this, as opposed
Right.
to a writer writing what he
Yeah.
feels like he should write, versus very bad people who don't want to hear that.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't so much a controversy as it was, I would say, a persecution.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. But I did
Well,
just write down Midnight's Children. Maybe I'll order that up.
yeah, Midnight's Children, and there's a one I like I read this in school at one point. So he's also got a short story collection called East West, which has the story that I think I read in school, and it might have been college. So I don't know if this is something that, comes up in normal, in high school or whatever, but good advice is rarer than rubies, which I think you can I think you can even find online, maybe, if people just want to
All
sample.
right.
And he's got a new book coming out in February that actually sounds really good.
Interesting. See,
That actually sounds really good.
I am so curious because I really do not know if I've ever read any of his work or if I just know about it.
He's one of the he's one of the writers. There's a there. This is going to sound very very egotistical, but there are plenty of writers that I read. And again, this is me. This is my sick brain. But there are writers that I read and I go, I could do that if I put my mind to it. And there are a lot of readers that I read and I go, I could do that if I put my mind to it. I could do that,
Wow.
which is BS, which is me BSing myself. But this is just how, this is how people get separated out in my brain, at least. But Salman Rushdie is in the category of a smaller category of writers, I must admit, because I am insane. Where I go, I don't think I could do that. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
sort of the highest compliment my brain pays to writers. And it's not necessarily even that I enjoy them the most necessarily, but it's a like, oh, I don't think I could do that. That is like, they are doing something that is, there's some magic there. There's some sort of beautiful magic there. And he's one of those writers that I put in that category. What I also find interesting, of course, is what I found interesting about this too is I see all of these. So we've talked about around the country. There are lots of people who have dedicated themselves to making the lives of librarians hell.
Right. Yes,
Or
absolutely.
just for the sin of having books that they don't like on hand.
Right. Yes.
And same with teachers. We know that drag queens are receiving death threats and threats of violence just for the crime of reading aloud.
Yes.
I know even the local library has been taking this is just in my town, but the local money has been taking collections so that they can replace the LGBTQIA books that keep getting stolen. And
Really?
yes.
Oh my
and
gosh. I didn't know about this. People are going to your local library and checking out books that they would like banned and then just destroying them?
well, so yes. So what seems to be
Wow.
what they've said about it publicly is that this might, some of this they would probably chalk up to people, maybe teenagers, maybe kids, taking books that they don't otherwise have access to
Okay.
for their own resources, which
Right.
isn't great, but
But that's
understandable,
different. That's not
right?
malicious. That's
But
kids trying to.
there seems to be a good portion of it that is malicious. Yes, they believe that. So
I hadn't heard a thing about this. I'm so sorry.
yeah, so but that's the kind of thing that's going on everywhere lately. And what I'm seeing with Salman Rushdie is a certain portion of, because of course, so Salman Rushdie was raised Muslim, from a liberal family. He's an atheist at this point. He considers himself an atheist. But of course, there's the Muslim angle here of, this is a fatwa from a predominantly Muslim country by a
Uh-huh.
Muslim leader. So I see people wanting to make common cause with Salman Rushdie, who I doubt have read Salman Rushdie, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really doubt. I really doubt it. And just solely on the basis of, oh, I'm a Christian nationalist who can make a point about Muslims with this.
Oh gosh. Sure, of course.
To which I would say, keep his name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
This is a lifelong free speech advocate, who would not want to have anything to do with your book banning and your book destroying and your book burning, who would not want to have anything to do with your religious extremism, whether it be Christian, Muslim, what have you. So maybe keep his name out your mouth,
Yeah.
because he's not
Wow.
on your team.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh.
But of course, that kind of
Of
hypocrisy
course it
is gonna creep
is.
up. But it's just,
Yes.
really, can you not even hear yourself?
No, they can't.
Let me go around burning books at the library because I don't like their content. Oh, but he was attacked. He was attacked
Yeah.
based on a Muslim issue. Well, Christians would never do that. It's like, or maybe it's just a matter of degree.
Right. Wow.
And again, we are seeing. I've certainly, I know for a fact we've seen with these drag queen story hours, we have seen death threats. I mean, we have seen
Yes.
we're gonna kill you. We're gonna bomb this library. We're gonna,
Right.
we have seen that sort of thing. Are the people making the threats willing to carry them out? Who knows? Who's
Well,
to say?
I mean,
Uh, you know, but it's not a
that's
long walk from making the threat to doing it.
right. And that's something I was also talking about recently when talking about Salman Rushdie. Um, what kind of security are people going to start needing?
Yeah,
Because from what I read in that article about the attack, there was a security guard who tried to intervene and stop the attack, and that guard was also pretty seriously injured.
yeah. Yeah, I sort of have and I don't know. I'm sort of curious. I was going to say I have questions. I don't really have questions. I'm sort of curious because you would think someone like Salman Rushdie would, even though, like we said, he's been moving pretty freely and things seem to have been fairly quiet on the let's get Salman Rushdie front for a while. You'd think there'd
Right.
still be a degree of extra security that would be called for, which it seems was not the case. And I don't know if that was anybody doing anything wrong or just my sense of like
Well,
maybe
anecdotally, in the article that I read, someone from the Chautauqua Institute was quoted as saying they believed they had sufficient security in place. So that's, again, I skimmed this article. I was interested, but I didn't really delve in. But from that, I understood that they had looked at security concerns and weighed their options. They thought they were good.
yeah,
And it just makes me wonder about all kinds of different speakers and performers.
yeah,
And like you say, with the drag queens getting threatened for going and reading a book to little kids
yeah.
at a local library, like how much security does your local library usually have?
Well, and we've seen again, this is a very specific instance, but we've also seen, I think there have been um, two attempts to breach FBI offices in the last week or
Yes.
so, based on people being mad that they went into Donald Trump's house, um,
Yeah.
um, to get back stuff that didn't belong to him. Uh, so again, that's how and we saw what happened on January 6th. I mean, we saw,
Right.
where people were murderous. They were trying to kill people.
Yes.
People did die.
Yes.
They were trying to kill more people. They were very clear about that. I mean,
Right.
there was no ambivalence about that. So I don't know what kind of, you know, I don't know if the world is fundamentally different. Again, I don't know if this is an outlier. I don't particularly want to be someone who's living my, life in fear of, I don't have any plans to change my actions or activities
Right.
at the moment, but you do wonder. I mean, and in a situation like that too, my understanding was there were no bag checks or anything like that. If that person had brought a gun,
Right.
more
Well,
than Salman Rushdie could have been injured, certainly.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that is interesting too, because as much as I don't love a bag check, it just feels weird.
yeah.
Lately, I have found myself thinking, like, no one's checking anything. People
Yeah.
are just walking in here.
Yeah.
Anybody could have anything on them.
Yeah.
And it's weird to have that thought because it wasn't too long ago I went to a free concert put on by the city of Rochester
Mhm.
and they were doing a bag check. And I certainly didn't mind at all. I opened up my bag, let the person look, but then the person I was with was like, why did they have to check your bag like that? And I was like, oh, they want to make sure I don't have some kind of gun that I'm going to like try to shoot up this thing with.
Right. Well,
And, you know,
I guess, I mean, you're always aware. You always have an awareness that there can be, I don't, kooks. I don't want to, there, there's always the danger of a an unbalanced individual. I don't want to, I'm not sure. I'm
I'm
not
not even
sure
sure what
what
you say
terminology I'm
anymore.
comfortable using because I certainly, I do not want to lump in all mental health issues with violent attackers. But you know that there are individuals that are capable of that kind of thing. But it's become so mainstream. I mean, you see
Yeah.
the Scott Adams, the guy who wrote about Dilbert, who writes not about Dilbert, he writes Dilbert, the comic
Okay.
strip. He's he's a renowned Dilbert expert. No, he
I
writes
know. I
the
was going to
Dilbert
say,
comic
like,
strip,
wait, he's doing dissertations on
and
Dilbert.
he was sort of talking about the violent. He was talking about the violent steps we were going to have to take now that they've gone into Donald Trump's house, which I don't know why. I don't care about anybody as much as these people care about Donald Trump. Like I really don't. I can't
Yeah.
imagine getting that worked up about anybody else. Um, there's nobody on the planet I like that much where I'd be like, I'm going to get, if they go into his house and take that back their stuff, I am going to get violent. This is really like, I can't think of any scenario in which I would do that, but
I mean, if they came into your house to take back their stuff, I think I'd probably be mad.
right.
I,
but you wouldn't be plotting like mass murder.
but I no, I wouldn't. I'd
Yeah.
be mad, and I
Yeah.
would I would empathize with you, and I'd say how mean that was of them
Hmm.
to come and get their stuff out of your house.
Right.
You don't have to worry since you didn't take anything that wasn't yours and bring it into your house.
Right.
But
My stuff is mostly mine and nobody wants it
yeah,
anyway. So,
right, yeah. And
um,
maybe there's some stuff that's like technically Mike's, but heck, y'all are married, so
right. Right. So
and
if he came to take it, he
yeah,
wouldn't get very far. So
yeah.
that'd be fine.
Yeah, that's also interesting.
I don't get the level of passion. There is no politician I have ever been so in love with that I would even care. Like, and that's not an indictment of anyone I've ever voted for.
No,
There are people that I've been very, felt very good about voting for and blah blah blah. But no, there is again, there's just sort of no one on the planet that I'd care that much. Where I'd be like, let's have a literal civil war now.
right.
They
And
came and took papers that weren't his. Like why?
right.
Like stuff he didn't even need. It wasn't like they took food out of his. It wasn't like they took papers that weren't his.
Right. And again, I
Like,
was
and you're just gonna start killing people, I guess. All right, that seems a
yeah,
little extreme.
it does. I was talking about this recently as well. Apparently I am paying slight attention to the news. Um I was saying like, okay, I'm fond of Obama. If Obama had taken a bunch of classified documents and put them in his house, and then the FBI came to get them, I'd be like, well, he shouldn't have taken those home.
Right.
Like, no matter how much I think of Obama fondly, if he'd put the documents in his house where they don't belong, someone should take them and put them where they belong.
And it
Like,
may or may not, change my opinion, but it would not. It would
I wouldn't
either
start
stay the
threatening.
same or I'd revise it
Yeah,
downward, and I'd either be like, well, I still like the guy the same, but he shouldn't have taken that stuff, or I'd be like, my opinion of him is a little less now. But it
yeah.
certainly wouldn't like. I certainly wouldn't go trying to beat up some random FBI agents that I saw.
No, it's so. And, as much as I say it's so strange, it's becoming so much more normalized. It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that people were trying to breach FBI offices for violent purposes, I'll tell you, I wasn't surprised. I
No.
wish I'd been surprised. Like
Well,
that's how
and
bad things have gotten that I'm not surprised.
yeah, well, and especially with all of the, it just goes to show you too, we've seen nothing but so people said Black Lives Matter, which is the lowest possible. I mean, I can't think of a lower bar to get over.
Yeah.
Like Black Lives Matter. I mean, my dog's lives matter. I mean,
Yeah.
the lives, I mean, it's just the lowest bar possible. And people were like, whoa, whoa, Joe, what about police? Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. So we've heard, okay, let's change. Okay, I guess we're going to change the subject because we can't even cross that incredibly low bar to say that Black Lives Matter. But so we've heard nothing for what, however many years, like, blue line, police, support law enforcement until
I
some
know.
law enforcement agents go in to get some stuff that didn't belong to Donald Trump and take it back from at the direction of a FBI agent, FBI director that Donald Trump appointed,
Right.
signed off by a judge that Donald Trump appointed.
Yeah.
So I don't know how corrupt these people are, but regardless, I don't think anyone's arguing that this is not his stuff, right? Like, I don't think even the Trump people are saying like, no, 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 this is mine. They're just like, oh, why'd they come do it? So because they went and got some stuff
Yeah.
that did not belong to Donald Trump, which I'd be like, all right, fine. I don't have to move it myself. Great. Take it.
Yeah.
How convenient. I mean, perfect, right? Don't have to pay anybody. It's perfect. Don't have to pay movers. Great. Come get it. Suddenly blue, all the thin blue line, blue lives matter stuff is gone. I guess we hate law
Oh,
enforcement now because they did one thing that annoyed us.
well, there's that, but also with the January 6th attack, police were killed
True.
by people who, Blue Lives Matter so very much until we're going to try to overtake the Capitol, and then we don't mind if we kill some cops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Blue lives matter when they're doing the wrong thing and attacking or killing black people. When they're not doing that, when they're annoying white people, suddenly they're the enemy.
right. And I don't think anybody sees the hypocrisy.
Which I don't get. I don't know how you could be that.
I don't know how you have the dualities in your brain to be screaming that Blue Lives Matter and then attack a police officer.
I mean, we talk all the time about like, I'm aware that I have a million hypocrisies in my brain, a million
Mm-hmm.
dissonances. But when they're that extreme and when it's that obvious and when it's that pointed out to me, I am capable of going, oh yeah, I guess that is I guess that
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I guess that is a ridiculous I guess that is ridiculous hypocrisy. And I either go, well, I'm just going to have to live with that because I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's hurting anybody, which I do sometimes. Like,
Yes.
this is hypocrisy, but it's not hurting anybody, so I'm just going to live with it for now.
Yeah.
Or I go, I really need to do something about it. I really need to.
Yeah. And at least you understand it's there. I've been finding that with lately my decisions on when and where to wear a mask.
Mm,
I've been I realize now I'm wildly inconsistent. And okay, I guess that's just what I'm doing and that's how I'm going to do it. But again, I don't think it's hurting anybody. But it it would just be so weird if I weren't aware of that inconsistency. But then somehow or another, the Blue Lives Matter accept when they don't. It's like
yeah. Yeah.
it's
It's
very strange.
it's very strange. I guess maybe it's not strange. I mean, maybe that's the problem. I guess the problem is that it's not strange. And
Yeah.
it's just such a normal again, and I know, we know how human brains work, and we know the ways our brains can be tricked into doing different things. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time. Um but you have to have I mean, I guess you have to value self-awareness before you can have any. And I think we
Well,
don't value self-awareness. I think we value um the things that the biases that are being supported. Again, I hate to always blame social media for everything, but it really doesn't help. I don't think we
mm-mm.
value self-awareness. I don't think we value having that knowledge and analyzing our own thoughts. I don't think we value that. And I think
That
you have
could
to
well
value that
be.
before you can have it,
And I guess maybe somewhere in there, you also have to somehow believe that there is truth
Yeah.
and reality. I
And that you could be
definitely,
wrong.
yeah, because I keep running more and more into thoughts about like, okay, so reality is becoming less and less real because so many people are. Maybe I'm the one who's not seeing stuff. I don't think so. I feel like I try to cross reference and find source materials and things like that and find out what's really real. But then there's so many people going like, no, that's not what's real.
Well, and it's like it's always a process too. It's like I think of it like the scientific process. Like, yeah, am I ever going to know the absolute 100% truth of everything? No. But I am going to try to follow the most logical path to try to get as close as I can to what's
Yeah.
reasonable, rather than just going, Well, I can, it's like it's like we were hearing with the COVID vaccines. Like, oh, well, if it's not 100% effective, it's not worth anything. Well, just because I can never get to 100% true, absolute truth of the
Right.
universe doesn't mean it's not worth it to try to,
Yeah.
to try to have a little, try to have a little awareness.
Right. It just, I don't know. I would rather try to know things,
Yeah.
try to find out facts.
Yeah. Which also sounds hard, but
That's all right. I got nothing else to do.
perfect. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Let's keep doing that. Nothing. Speaking of nothing, this has been The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. You know what? Something, Heather, is all the
What's
great shows
something?
coming up. All the great shows coming up next, and also
Oh
us
my
coming
God.
back next week.
All right.
Peace. That's what I said.
Is that what you say? That's your
Sure.
sign off.
Why not? I gotta say, Rosetta Stone never did me like that.
Duolingo is a harsh master. Whew, that was a close call. I can't believe it didn't occur to me to just do another lesson and the owl would go away.
Are you gonna sue for property damages, you think?
No, I think that would be a bad idea.
Well, let me know when you're fluent in Catalan then.
Molt de gust. Si us plau. Em sap grau.
Okay, maybe you want to work on that accent some.
Si no es bueno.
Hmm.
That skit also was not bueno.
I liked it.
So stupid.